marvels. Children of God. Hi. Good morning, everybody. Well, good morning for me. I just woke up out of bed. I just had such an inspiring moment that I wanted to share. But first and foremost, welcome to anyone who's new to this channel. This channel is dedicated to helping people recover from spiritual bypass, the misuse of spiritual teachings, particularly as connected to Neo-Advaita or Neo-Non-Duality. And yeah, I could say more about that, but I'm just going to hop right in. So I woke up. I woke up about 3:30 in the morning here. Not a bad thing because I caught the end of a lunar eclipse. And I woke up and I was like, oh, why am I waking up? And I was like, wait a minute, tonight's a lunar eclipse. And I kind of had the hope before I went to bed that I might wake up and catch it. And so I went outside, and what I could see is like the corner of the moon was eclipsed, but then the whole moon was kind of like hazy. And it wasn't that there were clouds, because the sky was very clear. And I just, my mind was like, oh, that's nothing. But my heart was like, whoa, that's cool. I intellectually knew what was going on, but I was just so touched and so moved. And it really just got me thinking about, all the ways that people have touched my life and the ways that I've touched people's lives. And there's a lot going on in my personal life where that's very real. And actually, one particular thing that I'll share is I'm recently meeting with Christian missionaries and just these beautiful beings who are just like really devoted to service and they're not perfect, and they'll be the first to tell you, but their intention is so pure. They're not pushy. They just want to help, and obviously they're sharing their beliefs, and they are part of a particular church that they hope I'll join, but they're not pushing it, and it's just been so touching to me. Their pure intention, and so it's really just got me thinking a lot lately, and some other places in my life where I've been touching people's lives or they've been touching mine. It just has me thinking about how powerful it is to impact another person's heart or impact another person's life. And sometimes it can be really simple, like just a smile at a stranger, or the grocery store I go to. I've been going there for like a year and a half, and so there's certain people, thanks for the likes, certain people who, when I see them, I'm just like, oh, hi there, and they're like, oh, hi there. And it's really meaningful. It's not like we're like professing our undying love for each other. It's just like, hey, I see you, or hey, it's really nice to see you. And that might be the extent of it, or maybe exchange a few words. And from my old Neo-Advaita point of view, and by the way, wow, I've got a lot of live viewers, and so I'm guessing many of you are new to all of this. So this is about recovery. I was part of a cult called Neo-Advaita, and this is about recovering from that. So, and also recovery from something called spiritual bypass, which is like the misuse of spiritual teachings, to the point where you like dissociate. And so, from spiritual bypass or from Neo-Advaita point of view, like that's meaningless. That was actually a thought I used to have. When my introduction to Neo-Advaita was this, not my introduction, but when I really took a deep dive into Neo-Advaita, when I took on the belief, everything I've pursued up till now in my life is meaningless. compared to the quest for enlightenment. Oh my gosh, some of the comments I get when I do this on my phone. I tried to do it on my computer, but it wasn't working. Someone wrote, Joe Biden hairstylist. So, so here I am, like, talking about touching people's lives, and someone wants to make fun of my hair. Here, you want to make fun of it? I'll give you like the best view possible. Like, hit me with your best shot, dude. I mean, it is kind of sad that, like, I'm talking about, like, touching people's lives, and that's where your attention goes, but be that as it may. Um, so, uh, so yeah, I mean, that was the belief that was operating, um, that, like, everything was meaningless except for the pursuit of enlightenment, and that's such a misinterpretation of the teachings. You maybe could find something here or there in classical teachings that would imply that, but yeah, and so uh, just to come to this place of really feeling how much it matters. And of course, in the grocery store, it's just like a little, like just a little touch. But some of the things that are going on in my life, like with the missionaries, or with this very special friendship I'm cultivating right now, it's just like, oh my God, this is so meaningful. And to find meaning and impact in things other than just enlightenment, it's just been so profound. So, to look at the moon tonight and be really impacted by the lunar eclipse, it just really got me thinking about how I've impacted other lives and how other people have impacted me. And just how precious that is. And, I had this thought in my mind, well, this teacher, well, what about this teacher? And like, kind of the mental chatter. I was like, well, if that's what they actually taught, because I think I'm misinterpreting their teaching, because that's what a lot of Neo-Advaita is, and that's what spiritual bypass is, misinterpreting a spiritual teaching, then Du Bois says, you don't make any sense. Well, Du Bois, I mean, thanks for sharing, and maybe if the topic of this video is in this channel. Well, anyway, this channel has a very specific focus. So I'm guessing you're not familiar with spiritual bypass and you're just hopping by. Actually, I'm not going to look at the comments anymore until I'm done talking. So, oh my gosh, the comments are just so silly. So, as I just reflect on, I mean, they hurt a little bit, I'm not going to lie. They sting a little bit, but that's okay. So, to really touch another life or be touched, it really means a lot and matters a lot. And no, it's not enlightenment, and no, it's not not going to change the world, like having good rapport with someone who works in the grocery store, or even having deep impact on a friend, or someone you've really gotten to know. But it matters, and the heart is touched. And no matter how much philosophy, how much philosophy a person's taken on, and how much philosophy I took on, because boy, I took on a lot of philosophy, you could not deny that it matters. And actually, that's one of the things that helped to rescue me from Neo-Advaita. was I used to go to this thing called dance church. And it was Sunday morning. And, here I would spend most of my week, or a lot of my week, being like, nothing matters, everything's an illusion, I don't care about anything. And then I would go to this thing called dance church, where it was a bunch of people just moving around and being free and and dancing with each other and having these like playful experiences, having spiritual, not necessarily traditional spiritual experiences, but having these profound moments of connection with each other, like a very loving connection. Like it was a really special place, and I'd be like, this matters. And I couldn't like my Neo-Advaita brainwashing, my spiritual Advaita brainwashing, like couldn't make sense of it. I'm like, this doesn't. I'm like, what's going on? And that dance is one of the things that helped to pull me out. I've never talked about that actually. Because yeah, and then I'd leave the dance and I would go home, and then I would, at a certain point, I'd go back to the Neo-Advaita brainwashing. I'd be like, nothing matters, only enlightenment matters. And then I'd go back next Sunday to dance church, and I would be touched, and I would touch other people. Dance with strangers, dance with people. I mean, there were a few people. I went to that thing for almost 20 years, and there were a couple people who I saw literally for over 20 years. Shared the dance floor with them, and that's meaningful. That's so meaningful. And no matter how much philosophy I took in, no matter how much time I repeated the Neo-Advaita nonsense, like I couldn't deny, I'm like, this is important. This matters to me. This touches me. This is meaningful. I like this. Above and beyond, I like this. Like, this hits deep. And so philosophy is an important part of the spiritual path. And philosophy and ideas have deep impact. But philosophy, as we've learned on this channel, as I've learned, it can really do harm. And it's like, God bless the heart, which was like, something's wrong here with Neo-Advaita. Oh my God. That's so funny. Someone wrote, Michelle A. writes, I think you're supposed to be a dancer. I mean, that's actually, Michelle, that's part of what helped me recover. So Neo-Advaita is a cult, Michelle, and that I was a part of. And yeah, dancing helped me recover from it. And yeah, I'm starting to teach dance. And thank you for that. I think you're right, Michelle. So, I was like, this matters. No matter how much Neo-Advaita philosophy I took on, and how much I dissociated, and how much I told myself, none of this matters. No matter how much the Neo-Advaita satsang teachers told me, the only thing that matters is enlightenment. I couldn't deny how meaningful the dances were, and the human connection was. Oh, thanks, Michelle. Like that moment, like here's a stranger. Michelle wrote from Neo what? Because probably hasn't heard of Neo-Advaita or spiritual bypass. And then Michelle wrote, I think you're supposed to be a dancer. And we just had a little mini conversation. And then she wrote, that's beautiful. Good luck on your journey. I'm like, aw, thank you. Like, that's meaningful, Like, that's meaningful. Like, that's life. And that's what spiritual bypass and Neo-Advaita cut me off from and cut other people off from, is from life and from meaning. And the journey continues to step back into life. So yeah, I'm currently, and just for people who are regulars on this channel, I'm currently not making a lot of videos because I'm taking time off from teaching and just asking myself, like, how do I don't want to be a teacher anymore. Actually, I want to be a dancer. It's funny that Michelle said that. I'm going to continue with this work. I want to do it in a different way. So I'm exploring that. And Thank you everyone for dropping by. Like, I'm hesitant to read the comments, but I kind of feel like obliged to. So, who would you rather open mouth? Oh my gosh, some of these comments are crazy. I'm just reading some of the comments. Yeah, anywho, I'm not going to say more. Thank you so much to everyone who dropped by and to all those who are on the path of healing from Neo-Advaita and other forms of spiritual bypass. I'm just going to say, I was talking to a friend she went really deep down the hole like me. And, sometimes on this journey, it's 20 steps forward, 19 steps back. It's not an easy process. For some people, it's an easy process. And for some of us, it's not. And I just, there's something inside of each of us, whether you call it the self or the soul or the heart or whatever word. There's also just our human heart. Let's put aside spiritual lingo for a moment. And that knows, and that can be touched. And it can lead us. And it can, because that's been such part of my recovery is like learning to listen to my heart. Like, what do I want to do? And yes, taking up dancing and actually starting to teach dancing and, like getting in touch with hobbies and like I like to drink chai in the morning. And, so there is something inside of us that can lead and guide us and that can be touched by the moon, by a comment from a stranger on a YouTube live or in the grocery store, or and we can touch other people's lives. And no, that's not eternal, no, that's not liberation, and no, that's not like eternal infinite freedom, but it does matter. And the for the place I'm coming to is finding the place where those two things meet, where touching lives and being touched and moving towards freedom, finding that integration point. That's where it's at for me. And I believe that's what the actual classical teachings are pointing to. uh, Ramana Maharshi was quite a beautiful man, and he didn't just sit around and talk philosophy. you know He was a very sweet, kind human being who touched a lot of lives without even teaching philosophy to many people. In fact, from what I can tell, to most people, he didn't. Like that wasn't, well, I'll put it this way, I can't say most, but that's not all he did. And the other things often didn't get recording, where he would just have conversation with people about their lives, about their work, about their challenges, about their ups and downs. So let's keep connecting to the heart, and I don't mean that in any spiritual or mystical sense, though if you're into that, that's fine. But let's keep connecting to also connect to our human hearts. And yeah, thank you so much for dropping by. Big love and blessings to everyone on this path. And if you can, go take a look at the moon tonight while it's still hazy, and see if you're touched at all. Big love.